Well, let's try this again, shall we? Fuck! Hey, if you're watching after the fact, this is the second time we're doing this because YouTube decided to crap out on me. Thanks, YouTube. Really appreciate that very much. So all my percentages going to YouTube with all your super chats, it's well worth it, isn't it? Fuck you, YouTube. Anyway, hey, this is episode 130 of MCRAE Live. The date today is Tuesday, December the 29th, 2020. I'm Dave McCrae, coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. And today I want to I'm going to walk you through the It's Me, Billy teaser trailer. We're just going to jump right into it. I'm not going to go through everything I went through in the last attempt at this, just to kind of keep this ball rolling, to keep us moving in a forward direction. That's what I want to do. Episode 130 of MCRAE Live. It's hard to believe. Sometimes people will ask me, why do you start over? If something happens, if there's a glitch because of the internet or a glitch because of YouTube and everything shuts down, why do you start from scratch? And well, it's because I like things being clean. I like things being pristine. I like things. I don't want to have this one episode where all of a sudden there is no intro, there's no beginning. I just kind of feels, disjointed and weird, and I don't welcome everybody, because not everybody who watches this show watches live, right? Actually, most people probably don't. They're at work, they've got things going on. It's the holidays too, of course, so they'll be watching after the fact. So I like things to be pristine and clean as best as I possibly can. I acknowledge, of course, that this is the second attempt we're doing this for those who are watching live. But yes, that's why I do it. It's a personal thing. It's what I want to do, and I like doing that. Let me, of course, just say this as well very quickly. I said this before. Thank you to everybody who watched the teaser trailer for It's Me, Billy, the official teaser trailer for It's Me, Billy that we dropped on December the 24th. And thank you to those who did reactions as well. Really cool to see people doing reactions. Really cool seeing people, as I said before, responding to the beats and the emotional moments that you hope people respond to. That was really, really cool to see. And I imagine that most of you were affected by those little things as well. Certainly when the phone ringing, and then of course her picking up the phone, and there's that, that hesitation, that building of suspense. What are we going to hear here? What are we going to hear here? What's going to happen, right? So really appreciate everybody doing that. The trailer is approaching 7,000 views, which is great. As I said before, this is in terms of expectations, in terms of views, this is sort of in where we expect it to be with a Black Christmas fan film. It's not one of the big three. It's not Jason, Michael, or Freddie. It's unlikely to get, 250,000 views unless major word of mouth picks up or another major, online publication takes it, runs with it, it starts to gain traction, which is entirely possible. But our expectations, we're very happy with the results. It's approaching 7,000 views so far. Hopefully we can get to 10,000 views by the time this thing really kind of tapers off. We'd be very happy with that. And like I said, there's still a lot of people that don't know about this. A lot of people are still sort of discovering this project. And so we are pleased with where we are with it. If anything, hopefully it's the calm before the storm. And it's just the teaser, right? Again, thank you to Bloody Disgusting as well for picking up the story. Really appreciate that. I've had a lot of people reach out to me after the fact and talk about it and ask questions about it. There's a lot of questions people want to know and ask. And one of them, of course, was, are you worried about the view count? I said, the view count? What are you talking about? It's got nearly 7,000 views. Like, well, yeah, but the Never Hike in the Snow trailer's got 300,000 views. And I said, well, yeah, but that's also because it's Jason Voorhees and it's Friday the 13th, and Jason is way more popular than Black Christmas. And there's reasons for it, right? As I said, Black Christmas never spawned a sequel. It never really had a franchise. There was a remake in 2006, a remake in 2019, but it never embedded itself into the pop culture like the big three did. So no surprise there. I mean, it's par for the course. the exciting thing about doing something like this is that we like being the underdogs in that area, and we feel that we'll have a product that will speak for itself, and that it will gain the word of mouth traction that hopefully it can, and we feel it deserves. You know, as I said to you months ago, even long before the Indiegogo campaign launched, I said that it's the fan film that nobody knew they wanted. That's kind of like our mindset, right? Because, you know, out of all the fan films you could do, Black Christmas certainly is not high on most people's radar. But I think it's ripe for something like this, and ripe for something done at a professional level. And so, yeah, we are just thrilled to be able to do this. So, exciting, very exciting indeed. So I want to walk through the teaser trailer. I'm not going to play. I played it the last attempt of this. I won't play it again. We'll just walk through it. Most of us here have seen it. If you haven't seen it, go to my channel. It's Me, Billy official teaser trailer. It's there. Share on your social media. You know, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you're on, share it. Continue to share it. Don't share it ad nauseum, but I just mean that, you know, if you want to share it again, share it again. I mean, that'll help us out big time as well. So let's walk through this teaser trailer, and I'll give you some notes. Let me see here. I was here. This is where I was. Let me go over here, and there we are. Now, for those of you that have yet to read this, because obviously it's only up for 10 seconds, you have It's Me, Billy is a not-for-profit fan film and a work of fan fiction. It's Me, Billy is not associated with nor endorsed by Blumhouse Productions, Divide Conquer Films, or Universal Pictures. We are a group of working professionals in Canada's film and entertainment industry, paying tribute and homage to one of the greatest Canadian horror films ever made, Black Christmas. So our little disclaimer there as we move along. And then, of course, the first shot you're going to see in this teaser trailer is this drone shot. And as I was talking about before, which I'll try and get through this quickly for those of you that have tuned in again, but for those of you that are watching after the fact, this was shot by our extremely talented and awesome drone operator, Adam Gamble, who has a business up here in the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. This is what he does. This was shot with the Inspire 2, the drone, the Inspire 2. And yeah, I mean, I was talking about, before we got cut off, I was talking about how if you are going to use drones in your movie, if you are an aspiring filmmaker, if you are an amateur filmmaker, if you want to use drone shots in your movie, they are cool, aren't they? They're cool, right? Yeah, they're cool, but you can overuse them, and you can use them in the wrong ways. I've seen a lot of fan films, not everybody, again, nuanced people, not everybody, but I've seen a fair bit of fan films that will use drones in ways that don't make any sense. I think some people feel that the drone will help to give the illusion that they have a higher production value and a higher budget than they really do. And it certainly can create that impression, but you also have to remember that if the rest of your movie looks amateur and you have these great drone shots, the drone shots will stand out like a sore thumb, and not necessarily in a good way. It's important that you always ask yourself, why are we getting these drone shots? You know, what is the story we're telling with them? How does it relate narratively to the rest of the movie? You know, because drone shots should never be used more than a few times in a movie, for establishing shots, transitional shots, something to that degree, but never as B-roll, you know, cutaways, insert shots that make no sense. I've seen a lot of fan films do that, where there'll be action going on, then they'll cut to a drone shot, and you're like, why are we doing that? I don't understand this. So it's very important to aspiring filmmakers out there, make sure that if you're going to use a drone, there's nothing wrong with that, but why are we using it? Are we using it because it's cool, or are we using it because it makes sense narratively to this shot? It makes sense narratively to the story we're telling. That's very, very, very important. Remember that. We have a few drone shots, obviously, in It's Me, Billy, but when you watch the movie, you'll see that everything makes sense narratively. And that's really, really important. I was watching, I forget what fan film it was. Even if I remembered, I wouldn't say it. Well, no, I might say it. I mean, you know, it's online now and it's open for criticism, but there was, I forget what it was. It was a little while ago, and there were some drone shots that were used correctly, you know, but they kept cutting to drone shots as like insert shots. They would be action. They'd would cut away from the action to a random drone shot of the countryside or something, and then cut back to the action. And it was like, I don't understand why you're doing that. It makes no sense narratively. It's unnecessary. It would be unnecessary as a still shot, or a static shot, I should say. So it just don't do that. You know, it really think about this. You have to really think about your shots. Anyway, Adam Gamble, amazing. You are amazing. This is great. This is, and I mean, the fact that it snowed is amazing. The fact that it actually, because like I said, we had written the script prepared to go snow or no snow. And the day we got up there, it snowed like you wouldn't believe. And so we were thrilled with the snow. We got up there and it started to sprinkle. It's our DP took some photos, because we had two big trucks there, right? And we were sort of trying to prep for the next day, and because it was the first day of shooting the next day, and it started to sprinkle a little bit of snow. We're like, oh, and we knew it was supposed to snow. It's not like it was a surprise. We knew it was supposed to, but about 15 centimeters of snow fell that night, which is about 5 or 6 inches. And when we got up the next morning, it was a blanket of snow like this, and it was amazing. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the interesting thing that you may find very interesting. Well, not interesting necessarily, but cool fun fact, right? The drone shots were supposed to happen the first morning that we arrived. We were supposed to get the drone shots the first morning that we arrived because of the snow, the snow that we knew was coming. But of course, you can only take the drone up in the air. I'm sure people don't, I'm sure people do this anyway, but our drone operator, who's a professional, who has to abide by the guidelines of the aviation, the rules and regulations, he can't just go up and do it. He's got a business, said to me that, well, I can do it. So we had stopped off in Carlton Place, which is about a 10-minute drive. It's a town about a 10-minute drive from the location, to grab some lunch. So the girls were in the back of the Suburban eating their lunch, and I got a phone call from Adam, and he's back in Toronto, of course, which is like 4 hours away. And he said, hey, Dave, I've been watching the weather. I know I'm supposed to come up today for the drone shots in the morning, but he said the wind gusts are supposed to be pretty brutal tomorrow morning. I can come up. I mean, there's a chance it might change, but I don't know. Like, I mean, do you want me to come up? Do you want to delay it for the next day? And of course, I'm thinking, as a producer, as a director, I'm thinking, I don't know, I mean, God, because, we don't know if it's going to snow. The snow might melt. We need the snow. So, but of course, safety comes first. And of course, we certainly don't want, and if he had come up and we had told him to come up and we had told him to push it, if anything happened to the drone, or if anything happened, we're liable. So I was like, yeah, so I said to Adam, I said, listen, you're the professional. If in this area, if you feel that it's best that we don't, let's not do it. So he didn't. So he actually didn't come up the day he was supposed to. So then, but it still snowed. We went out our first day of shooting. We got all the stuff we needed. It was great. The next day on Tuesday, the snow had melted a little bit. There wasn't as much. There was still enough, but there wasn't as much. And we were like, oh. So Adam was going to come up Wednesday. Well, he was going to come up Tuesday night for Wednesday morning, right? Well, wouldn't you know it, Tuesday night it snowed again. I'm telling you, it's serendipitous, man. The film gods from above were like, okay, hey, you know what? We gave him snow. Hey, he needs a little more. Hey, can we give him a little more? And they did. And when we got up the next morning, it was snowing. There were flurries. We're out there with the drone. And then Adam said, well, listen, the wind is calm. There's no wind, but there's a lot of flurries. And I'm worried about how the snow is going to affect the blades on the drone, right? Which makes perfect sense, obviously, right? And we're like, so we set up a tent, and we got the tent set up, and we're out in the fucking fields and shit, and it's snowing and stuff. It's myself, it's Bruce, it's Adam. We're out there, we're setting up this 10 by 10 foot tent so he can do what he needs to do under the tent. And then wouldn't you know it, the second he's ready, the flurries taper off. I'm not kidding. They taper off. And it's just few flurries here or there. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing. These are the shots he was able to get. And just amazing work from our drone operator, Adam. So yeah, and then we have Victoria. Victoria, I'm going to show you a little BTS in a moment after the trailer is done. Of course, this is Victoria Miro, our star, playing Sam, the granddaughter of Jess Bradford. And I believe her lines are, I really have to start taking care of myself, Emma. I don't want to end up like her. And of course, there were some people that assumed that she was talking about her grandmother. I don't want to end up like my grandmother. But then it becomes very apparent as we continue on here, when we get to Shelby Handley playing Emma, when she says, you're not like her, you're strong like your grandma. So that becomes very evident then that, oh, so she's not talking about her grandmother. I don't want to end up like my grandmother. She's talking about somebody else. And who is that? I don't know. We'll have to wait to the movie to find out. I'm sure it's not rocket science, but I'm not going to tell you. So yes, and then we move along from here. And there is, of course, Victoria again. One of the great things about Victoria's look is that she has a very similar face shape to Olivia Hussey's, certainly back then. And of course, we had, in the summertime, if you remember, on the It's Me Billy-a-thons, Victoria's hair was a bit of a dirty blonde. She had dyed it blonde. I think she's naturally a brunette, this color. But she dyed her hair sort of a dirty blonde for the just for the summer, I guess. Why not? It's summertime. Sometimes girls will do that. And but we asked her, can you go back to this color? Because we want, of course, more of that look, right? And of course, she agreed. No problem. So I think she dyed her hair back to her normal color a few days before we actually shot, if I'm not mistaken. So it's great. And then of course, we continue on. What is she looking at? What is this? What is this? It says, I have it right in front of me here, actually. I don't have my glass on. It says, the love between a grandma and a granddaughter is forever. The love between a grandma and a granddaughter is forever. I'm putting on my glasses so I can see a little bit here. That is what that says. And that, of course, obviously is an ornament. Ooh, the love between a grandma and a granddaughter is forever. How many people picked that up or just thought it said something, but you didn't really pay attention to it? I bet you there's a lot of people that saw it, was listening to the audio, figured it had something to do with something, but kind of just steamrolled over it. But that's what it says. That's what it says. The love between a grandma and a granddaughter is forever. We'll move on here. And of course, this is Bruce's Christmas tree, by the way. We brought his up to the location. This is one of my favorite shots in this teaser. I can't tell you too much about it, what she's looking at, what's going to happen, where she's going, where she's coming from, obviously, but it's a great shot. We've used this for promotional images for the teaser. It's the thumbnail, of course, of the teaser trailer on YouTube, and one of my favorite shots of the teaser. I adore this shot. This was a shot that was not in the shot list. It was something that came to us organically afterwards. It was a shot that I wanted. I felt that we needed. We were about to move on, and something was gnawing at my gut saying, you need to get this. It'll make sense to you when you see the movie, of course, but it was something that I wanted to get. So I spoke to Bruce and I said, I want to get the shot. We were actually in the middle of shooting another scene in this area. And I said, if there's time afterwards, because I think we were about to break for, our lunch, but it was like midnight, right? When you're shooting overnights, which was the most of our shoots, we'd have like breakfast at 4 in the afternoon. We'd have lunch at 10, and we'd have dinner at 5 a.m., right? So I think this was before we were breaking for quote unquote lunch. And I talked to Greg, our DP, and I said, I want to get this, and we got it. So, and there's enough time to do it, which was great. A couple of takes, but we were able to get it. Of course, the dining room scene. Here's a shot you haven't seen yet. in terms of the micro teaser or anything. You can see there's some slight movement from left to right. There's a slight movement there from left to right. That's on a Dana dolly. That is on a, I have a picture of a Dana dolly here somewhere. Anyway, that's what that is on. It's on the Dana dolly. It's on a set of rails, and the camera sits on it, and you can move from left to right. You can move right to left. And that's what that was. Of course, we have good old Shelby here as Emma. You've seen a lot of these shots. Not these shots, but this scene, of course, was in the micro teaser as well. And the girls having some wine, some dinner, laughing, enjoying themselves, and the Christmas tree behind Victoria there. Greg did such a great job. I mean, the footage looks great. And everybody, again, it's a team effort, right? It's not just Greg. It's the team. It's Nikita, our gaffer. It's Naz, our key grip. It's Stuart and Luke. It's Jacqueline and Dylan and Adrian. And I mean, it's everybody, and Emma, and it's everybody working together to create what you see. And we had a ball doing it. And just love the depth of field here. Love the shallow depth of field in terms of not shallow depth of field, but, well, yeah, kind of, I guess. But in terms of the tree being out of focus in the background, and awesome stuff. Just really, really like it. And this, of course, is one of everybody's favorite shots, the drone shot of the, let me go back. Can I go back? I don't think I can go back. Oh, well, it's not. I can go back. Let me do this. Oh. Right there. A lot of people love this shot. We love this shot as well. This was the shot, of course, the Wednesday morning. It had just finished a blanket of a new fresh blanket of snow had fallen. So we were pleased by that. And like I said, about 10 minutes before this shot was taken, there was a ton of flurries. So it was nice to be able to get it, because if, some people might say, well, but the flurries would look great. Yes. But you have to keep in mind too, that the drone that you're using, those wet, it depends if the snow is wet. It depends if it sticks to the blades, because, precipitation can take down a drone. So, and again, this is not like some guy out, some guy with a drone who's out there going, yeah, I'll do it. Let's just fucking do this. I don't give a shit. I mean, this is a professional who has a business, and there's, protocols and procedures that we have to follow. And one of those things, obviously, is just like, I don't want to take my drone up if it's, snowing like crazy, because I don't know how that's going to affect the blades. And fair enough. So we may have to wait a little bit until the snow tapered off. And it did taper off just at the moment that we were going to do it anyway. So it was just really, really cool. But such a great shot, great location, great house. Can't wait for you guys to see more of it. And then, of course, Malika. So do you think the killer is still out there? The phone ringing, the classic rotary phone ringing. And, of course, Sam picking up the phone. What is happening here? Now, I will say this, that one of the questions I've been asked, of course, is as I said before, we had to restart the show, that, I get asked, I have been asked since the teaser dropped, about the view count. I've been asked about how long is the movie going to be? Like I said, about maybe 25 to 30 minutes long. Not sure yet, because the film is still being assembled together, but that's the ballpark, because there's a 23.5 page script. Do the math in terms of, the average, probably somewhere in there maybe. It'll be like an episode of something on Netflix, perhaps. But another one of the criticisms I see is in regards to the landline, right? And and I understand that if this was her phone in her house, it would be very strange for a 20-something-year-old girl to be using a landline, especially a rotary phone. Certainly that would be strange. But if they've read the synopsis, if they've been following the production, which I don't expect everybody to, it should become apparent to those who watch the movie. And it's no secret that this is not her house. It's no secret, because it is in the synopsis that this is the home of Jess Bradford. So, a lot of older people, as we know, especially when you are in isolation and you live out in the boonies, a lot of older people, and you're older, you can have landline phones. It's not unprecedented for that to happen. This isn't some girl in her parents' house, chilling on a rotary phone in 2020. That I can understand 100%. Be like, wait a minute, this is kind of weird. So for those of you that may be thinking, I don't get it. Who has a rotary phone? Who has a landline today? Well, it's justified. It's taken care of. We didn't, nothing was arbitrarily sort of just tossed in there because, well, it's Black Christmas. You got to have the rotary phone. No. It's got to make sense narratively. There has to be a reason for it. That's one of the things that we knew. We knew when we started writing the script, we wanted to use the rotary phone. But we also knew that, well, how do we do that today? Because nobody has them. Nobody's using them, or is there a way that we can write a story? Now that wasn't the catalyst for the whole story, of course, but that was one of the things we knew we needed to justify, and we couldn't just willy-nilly toss it in there for no reason because it would stick out like a sore thumb. So for those of you that are, thinking this is weird and strange, keep in mind, this is not her phone. This is not her house. Okay? Just remember that. Let me see. And then of course, we move on. And then of course she says hello. And yes, that is me doing the voice of Billy. That is me doing that. Both voices. Now the breathing you hear is not me though. Ooh. It is no secret, of course, I am not playing Billy in the movie. I had a troll the other day insist that I was because he found a picture of me on my IMDb that was, do you remember 6-7 weeks ago, we did a camera test at William F. White in Toronto. It was myself, Bruce, our gaffer, our DP. We went in to do a camera test, and that's not unprecedented. That you do that. You go in to test the cameras out, to test the lenses out. What lenses are we going to need? You test out lighting, things like that. And there was that photo that photo I posted of myself where I looked, a little bit like Jack Torrance. I'm doing that crazy kind of face, and it's lit in this dimly lit kind of light, whatever. It's my right now, it's my thumbnail on my Twitter, and I think on my Twitter, Anyway, he was convinced that was me. That was a behind the scenes look of me as Billy. And I said, no, that's not me as Billy. That's me as test subject A. I was just making a scary face because because of the lighting I was in. I'm not playing Billy in the movie, folks. We've hired an older actor to be Billy. That's no secret. That's not a spoiler there either. That's been out, for a while. So I am not physically playing Billy in the movie. There is no picture of me as Billy. That picture is not me as Billy. Anyway. So, but I am, I am a large part of Billy's performance on the telephone. There'll be some mixing and matching in there, but I am a big part of that. So what you hear in the teaser here, of course, yes, is me as Billy. And then, and the words that Billy says here, he says, "You let her go," is the first thing you hear. You let her go. And then he says, "I found you." That's what he says. You let her go and I found you. So if anybody was wondering what that was, or I can't tell you what it all means, of course, you have to think for yourself and talk about it with your buddies. And what does it mean? Who is that saying, "You let her go, I found you"? What does that mean? What's going on? These, of course, are things that are carefully calculated and agreed upon when you are putting something like this together. You let her go and I found you were not the only options we could have had there at this moment. There was quite a few options that we were toying with, a few things that Billy was saying, that were some were more suggestive, some were less suggestive, some were sort of pretty innocuous, but we settled on those two things because we knew that it should anyway, at the very least, especially for Black Christmas fans. You see, if you're not a Black Christmas fan, if you've never seen the original movie, that might not mean much to you. But especially for Black Christmas fans, that might mean something, and that might get your wheels turning, and you're thinking about shit, right? You're like, what's going on? What does that mean? My God, there's so many different ideas that you could have. So that's important. That's important. And then, of course, after this, we just move into the title card. It's Me, Billy, a Black Christmas fan film, and spring 2021 is our projected release. Now, spring is anywhere from March the 20th to June the 21st. So I can, we have some time. Don't know when yet. It is likely that what will happen is that when we release an official trailer for the movie, you'll have the release date attached to that. I can't promise anything on that, but that is likely what will happen. You'll have a release date attached to the trailer, to the official trailer, is what you'll have. So, yeah, I mean, again, there's a lot of things I could have talked a bit more about there, but I don't want to give too much away. I just wanted to give a little insight, a little sort of director's commentary, a little 101 at what you're looking at and some of the things behind the scenes there of what it all entails. Now, obviously, that scene with Shelby and Victoria at the beginning of the teaser. Here's a behind the scenes here of I think you guys have seen this photo before. I did post this on Shelby's birthday. Shelby's birthday was December the 1st. And I posted this photo on her birthday, wishing her a happy birthday. Oh, this, by the way, is the Dana Dolly, for those of you that are not quite sure. You guys remember this? I posted this photo of me. That's the Dana Dolly there. It's a pretty standard piece of equipment for getting nice tracking shots from left to right, right to left, things like that. That's what that is there. So, yeah, and then I have a little BTS here for you, a little behind the scenes of that porch scene. Nothing major, not necessarily that moment, but just so I'll set it up. So we were starting to shoot the scene there that you see in the teaser with them talking to each other there, leaning against the brick there. And then there was, because although we are in isolation, of course, we're not like, completely in isolation. We started to hear what sounded like a snowmobile way off in the distance. So Adrian said, no, we gotta, we have to stop. Adrian's our sound operator. Sound recorder, boom operator, excuse me. And so we had to stop. So it was just kind of funny that it could be, and you can hear it clear as day. You can hear this thing. And obviously we don't want to give the impression that there are snowmobiles around the corner. They weren't quite around the corner, but you could hear them off in the distance. A snowmobile or a truck or something like that. Anyway, here's a little BTS of that moment from the teaser trailer.
Come off, Charlie. Take two. Yeah. Marker.
Action.
Thanks.
Reset it.
Just keep rolling.
Still rolling. Okay, what's that?
Do you want me to pause before I walk in on her for this one too? Okay, great. Oh God, I hope not.
My goodness. They're gonna wreck our pretty snow.
It's a snowplow.
Oh, I saw it. Yep.
Snow
Through the
plow
trees
or
there,
snowmobile.
Wow.
We're still rolling, or?
Yep, still rolling.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, sound. Here we go. Action. I was wrong. Snow plow. That's right. It was a snow plow because it had just snowed. That scene was shot on our first day. That's right. It was a snow plow. We thought it was a snowmobile, but it was a snow plow because the plows were going by naturally because it just snowed, 5 to 6 inches of snow the night before. So, yeah, cool stuff indeed. And of course, once the Blu-ray comes out, you'll get a lot of this stuff on the Blu-ray. You'll get a lot of behind the scenes. Bruce right now is working on the behind the scenes featurette for the movie. There might be a couple of them that we do. We'll have deleted. Well, there's not really any deleted scenes. I can't say. Well, there might be, but you'll definitely have like things like this. You'll have things like this to mull over and stuff, and obviously these types of things will wind up on YouTube eventually as well. But yeah, it was a fun shoot. It was a great shoot, and we're really thrilled with the response to the teaser trailer so far. And again, thank you everybody who has watched it, who did reactions to it. Really, really appreciate it. Continue to share it. Continue to share it in horror groups or Facebook pages. Again, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. You don't want to seem, don't solicit it. Don't come off as, nauseating. But if there's a group or if there's a bunch of people or if there's somebody that you think may not know about it, that may not, have heard of it, that might be it might be of interest to as well. That's important as well. You don't want to just kind of just toss it around, right? You want to target because then it just gets lost in translation. But if there's a group or a couple of buddies that you have or something that you think might find interest in it, by all means, please share. All right, let's go over to the chat room and see what you guys are saying. I want to see here what you guys are saying. There was a couple of super chats that came in. It's Anna. Hey, Anna, how are you? Great to see you here. Sends in a £5.49 or euro, I should say. I believe that's a euro, yeah. Super euro. Is it pound or euro? Anyway. Anna, and then sends in a very generous one as well. Thank you so much. Anna says, hey, Dave and fellow McCrazy, sorry for not being so active in the chat lately, but I had lots of problems going on. Well, I hope the problems have been resolved. I'm happy and proud of Dave and crew for pulling this through. Can't wait to see the movie. Also, it's my birthday. Well, happy birthday, Anna. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Anna. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Anna. And I'm glad that you're doing well, and thank you so much for the generous super chat there and the kind words as well. We are having we're very excited. We're excited to show everybody, and like I said, the film is still being assembled, but it's looking good so far. Let's see what's going on. Good Real Hunting says, hope there will be another opportunity to get a Blu-ray copy. I did get the digital copy. There should be. We're mulling it around right now. As I've said, it's possible that when we drop the actual trailer, that it might drop in tandem with a very quick Indiegogo campaign for little last minute things that people haven't got yet. So like the Blu-ray or a t-shirt or something like that. We might do that. We're still a few months away from that, but we may do that. Hans Gruber said, how dare they clear the roads? Don't they know there's a movie being made? Yeah, how dare they, those bastards. Yeah, they had to do it. There were times when the great thing about shooting in the house is like you were shooting on a set because the owners of the house were not there. I mean, I've said this before. The lovely owners they're so amazing. Were not there. They had left for the week, which was great. And because you're in the house, we could leave things set up. So that's really good too, because those of you that have worked on a film before, you know that you're usually setting up and tearing down at the end of every day and at every day because you're changing locations all the time, right? You're not leaving your camera gear set up. Well, the camera wasn't really left set up. Because we had to dump the footage and all that. But in terms of like, the Dana Dolly or the Meerkat jib or the track or, whatever we were doing, we could leave that set up in a particular location, the house, because we were shooting in the house the whole week and everybody was coming back to that location and it's just us in the house. So that was really beneficial, and you're in a controlled environment where we were able to control the lighting. you know, which was great. That was great too, because there were times, I won't tell you what scenes they were, but there was a couple of scenes where, of course, because the sun sets earlier at that time of year, we were shooting into the afternoon, but it was supposed to feel like it was a different time of day, and we would have to rework it with the lighting. And of course, we're working with pros, and they were able to do it. So there are some scenes that you wouldn't know that it was actually, you know, 3 p.m, you know what I mean? Because of the amazing job they did. So it was so wonderful to be in that controlled environment where we had that level of control over the lighting. Not so much outside when we're on the side of the road or doing the drone shots. Of course, we're sort of at the mercy of the natural light. But once we got to the house and on location, it was really, really cool. So love it. Love it. Entertainment Wizard says, Dave, did you blow up the snowplow? We did. We had a bazooka. We blew it up. We got it on camera. It's the final shot of the movie. Makes no fucking sense. Makes no sense, but we thought it looked so good. It looked so amazing. Fucking the snowplow just blowing up. It's the final shot of the movie. There you go. The final shot of the movie is the snowplow blowing up like fucking something out of Die Hard. So great. Chris Snyder. Chris, I think you're one of the guys that did a trailer reaction, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you doing that. Chris says, my girlfriend, who has not seen Black Christmas, saw the teaser and now she wants to watch the original before It's Me, Billy comes out. I love that this film is having people wanting to seek it out. That's really, really cool, man. Props to your girlfriend for wanting to do that. And you're right. There, again, like I said at the beginning of the show, there's a lot of people that haven't seen Black Christmas because Black Christmas is one of those movies that just, it's not overly popular. It's a cult film. It slipped under the radar because it never spawned a franchise, just 2 remakes. And it didn't need to. Like I said, I'm the first to say that the original Black Christmas has one of the greatest endings in all of horror. It's got an amazing ending, and it doesn't need a sequel. It doesn't. I mean, I'm the first to admit that. But it's fun to play in that sandbox and to challenge yourself to say, well, if you could go on, because even Bob Clark himself said that if he ever did a sequel, of course, we know the Halloween thing about, he would escape and all that. But he said if he ever did a sequel, there was an interview where he said that it would follow Jess Bradford. He'd want to bring back that character. So we're not doing anything that is, I know it's blasphemous for some. I've seen some of the comments. People get very angry, and actually I'm flattered that people are getting very angry about it. And because I think people wouldn't get angry if this looked like a piece of shit, because they'd go, oh, well, fuck, it's just an amateur home movie. Not a big deal, right? But the fact that it looks the way it does, which is a testament not just to myself and to Bruce, but to everybody on the team, we're flattered that some people are getting so angry over it. That's flattering, because that means that it looks like something they could care about. And that's really cool, because nobody's going to give a shit over a home movie in your backyard kind of thing. Well, whatever, you know what I mean? But the fact that it almost gives this feeling like this is legit, so it's legit in the sense that it's, official. So, that we're flattered by that. And I know that. I know that it doesn't need a sequel, but it's fun to play in that sandbox. It's different. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Not everybody's, listen, not everybody is going to like it. There are already people right now, and I know this, I don't know who they are, but I know there are already people right now who will hate this movie the second it comes out. Why? Because they don't like me. They hate me. So they will do anything they can to bring me down. That's one person, right? And these people could be the same type of people too. And then there's the fact that they don't like that we're doing a sequel to the original movie. So fuck that shit. Fuck you. Even if it's a good, fuck you, right? There's those people, right? And then there's the people that might genuinely just not like the movie, right? But we know it's not going to resonate with everybody. We know it, right? If you're looking for a bloodbath Friday the 13th kind of movie, this isn't that kind of movie. It's more of a psychological theater of the mind film. So keep that in mind as well, right? We're paying homage to that original, not homage to the 2006 movie. Keep that in mind. Joanna from Canada sends in a very generous super chat. Joanna, thank you so much. Congratulations to you, Bruce, and the cast. It's so thrilling to see your vision of It's Me, Billy come to life. P.S. For those of us who bought the Black Christmas telephone replica, does it come with one personalized terrorizing call from Billy? No, it doesn't. I'd have to put in like that'd actually be really cool to put in like an electronic device where you pick up the phone and you're like, it's me, Billy. You know, or something like that. That'd be creepy. That'd actually really be cool. Yes, the phones are of course all signed. I mean, I posted those photos. I just have to get them shipped out. That'll be happening next year. I shipped out the Christmas ornaments, the Lynn Griffin Christmas ornaments. The next in line will be, I think, the posters. I want to get the signed posters out. I'm just in the middle right now of ordering all the poster tubes that each poster has to go in, because there's about 20 something people that ordered signed posters. So that's 20 poster tubes, that's 20 labels, that's 20 caps. That's, it takes a bit of time. Then of course I got to bring them all to the post office and fill out all the customs forms and things like that. I got to fill all that out. But that's next in line. And then I think we move into like the t-shirts and the phones and stuff like that. And then of course we have to fill the MCRAE Live perks too, because obviously there's a few associate producers that will be appearing on MCRAE Live. And then of course we got to get, there's a few people that will be appearing on Two Dudes as well. So, so there's still some things we have to do, but, we got to do it. Evil Alex says, did you do the voice of Billy on set or afterwards? I didn't do the voice of Billy on set. We actually had our actor who was playing Billy do the voice of Billy while on set. And he was great. He's not a voice actor, so and not that you have to be. He was extremely talented and amazing to work with. Great guy. But I will be the large majority of what you hear on the phone, but there's certain things that he was able to do because he's an older gentleman. He's not 95. He's not like, I don't mean that. He's older, right? He's probably old enough to be, you guys' dad. He's well into his 60s. So, but there's a resonance to his voice. There's a quality to his voice that we also want to incorporate into the schizophrenia of Billy as well. So that'll be happening too. But he was doing all that on set. Amstel54 says, MCRAE, and thoughts for your next film venture, or is that top secret? Haven't really thought about it because just really been focusing on It's Me, Billy right now and trying to get this movie out. Robert Thidov says, Dave, what makes a great biopic movie? I'm sick and tired of filmmakers adding untrue events of dramatic effect or making it too friendly Disney-like. Bohemian Rhapsody is the perfect example. I actually really enjoyed Bohemian Rhapsody, but am very aware that they left a lot of the, a lot of the things that wouldn't paint the band in too much of a positive light off the table, of course. Makes a great biopic. Obviously, people love drama and they love knowing the nitty gritty, the true Hollywood story kind of thing. I think sometimes it's a difficult thing because you're constantly dealing with the estate. And if the people are still alive and they don't want that fucking shit in there, and there's certain things, it's difficult, It's why I don't think you'll ever see a biopic, or if you do see a biopic of Michael Jackson, it won't be the biopic that it should be. I'm sorry, but the dude was strange. Whether you believe that he did what he did or didn't do what he did, that has to be part of his story. And he was, and always will be one of the greatest entertainers that has ever lived. He's fucking amazing. His music was fucking amazing. Him as an entertainer is one of the greatest in the history of the business. I don't think we can deny that. I would have gone to see him in concert like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the peak of his days, like the late 80s, early 90s. My God, he's one of the greatest entertainers of all time. But you can be a great entertainer and a scuzz-sucking piece of shit at the same time. And I think, I'm just saying that I think there is this dichotomy that people feel that there's no way any of these people can can do that because look at all the good they've done. Look at the amazing talent they have. Look at the kind of individual they are. And yeah, but there's a lot of people out there that are scuzz-sucking pieces of shit. I'm not saying he's a scuzz-sucking piece of shit. I'm just saying there are a lot of people out there that are scuzz-sucking pieces of shit and that are incredibly talented and that give to charity and that work with children and that do wonderful things. This is not unprecedented. This happens more than you realize. Michael Jackson was strange. Whether he diddled kids or not, I don't know. But there is enough evidence out there, regardless of whether that documentary, that one that came out a year or two ago, was there or not. There's some strange things that go on with him and his behavior around children. I'm just saying, right? There is some strange stuff. That has to be part of it. It has to be part of it. And I don't think Michael Jackson's estate would necessarily allow it. If you're going to tell the story, you got to tell it right. You got to tell the good, the bad, and the ugly too, or the bad and the ugly as well as the good. So I think that becomes a problem with a lot of biopics. Is you're right, Robert, is that especially if you run into problems with the estate and you run into problems with image. And it can be a very difficult line to walk, especially when you are somebody at that level. Unless you're somebody that's still alive that says, no, tell my fucking story. Yeah, I did drugs. I fucking abused chicks. I did this, that, and the other. Or I did whatever. Like if that kind of a person is still alive and they want that out there, that's different. Because then it might not be too difficult to tell the real story. But it can be tricky. It can be tricky, especially if they're dead, and there's some real crazy stuff in there. But I think it's important that we realize that some of our heroes in life are not necessarily nice people. And there are some heroes that are extraordinarily nice people, right? But we must understand that you can be extremely talented and pretty shitty person. You can be. It happens all the time. Just saying. So yes, I agree with you. I think that's an issue that you sometimes see. Super chat again from Joanna from Canada. Thank you so much, Joanna. Says, couple more questions. Was there any improvising ad lib while filming? And did you guys play pranks, scare each other while in the creepy environment? There was a bit of ad libbing in moments that obviously required it. When the girls stuck to the script pretty well, but there were some moments of ad-libbing that we allowed them to do that were sort of lead-in lines, I guess, to help get into character with certain scenes, certain shots that we were getting, the beginning of a scene or the end of a scene. We were allowing them to ad-lib a bit, but it wasn't anything crazy. And then pranks, no, there wasn't really any pranks that were played. I mentioned this last night on Two Dudes, and I'll mention it here. Though the house that we shot at, there was a murder-suicide there about 4 years ago. And I read about this. Well, John, the owner, when we went up to the house to do the location scout at the beginning or at the end of June, beginning of July, a couple of days before we launched the Indiegogo campaign, we had meant to go up in March, but of course the pandemic delayed all that. So when we went up in June, or at the beginning of July, he told us, he said, I just want to let you guys know that there was a murder-suicide here in 2016. And he told us this story about the gentleman who owned the house before him had lived there for years, and he was a local politician kind of guy in the small town. He was a local counselor or something like that. And anyway, he had a daughter, and her daughter's boyfriend came over to the house, shot him, murdered him, killed him, shot the daughter, his girlfriend, then turned the gun on himself and killed himself. Now, I believe the daughter survived. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the daughter survived, but he died. And of course, the older guy died. And I was like, wow. And he's like, does that affect? And I was like, not me. And I turned to Bruce and he's like, no, I could have, and I mean this sincerely, I could have sworn that I told people this and the actors this before we went up. Well, it was kind of funny. I launched into this story. I think we were in their bedrooms or something. We were just sitting there hanging out at the end of the day. I had come down the hall to check on them, to sort of, thank them for the day and how well they did. And we were hanging out there for for a moment or two. And I said, and I told them this, and they're like, you didn't tell us this. And I'm like, what? I thought I did. They're like, you mean this place is haunted? And I was like, well, not necessarily. You know, there was a murder here, suicide 4 years ago. What, Dave? And of course, they thought I didn't tell them. I'm not seriously thought this, but they were joking around about how, you didn't tell us because if you had told us, we might not have wanted to come up, which probably wouldn't have changed anything anyway. But we had a good laugh about it. And I sincerely, ladies, if you're watching, again, I sincerely thought I had told you, but I didn't, apparently. So kind of crazy because some of the crew knew, but the actors didn't know. And I don't know what happened there. But nonetheless, yeah, that's kind of crazy. But I didn't feel anything creepy about the house. I slept like a baby. Everybody else seemed to sleep like a baby. Nobody said there was anything weird or creepy or the house. I didn't feel anything. I was able to I was able to be alone in my bedroom and fall asleep perfectly fine. So there wasn't anything like that. I just don't really think there was the time either. You know, it was a pretty tight schedule. I mean, we had some good laughs and we had some fun, and you'll see in some of the behind the scenes. But in terms of like, you know, we had a lot we had to shoot. We had 23 and a half pages we had to shoot in 6 days. And that may seem that that's doable, but there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of rearranging and, you know, so we didn't have a lot of time, but certainly that was a story that, and of course, now, you know, and then they were on their phones looking it up, and you can look it up. I mean, if you were to Google right now, Almont, Ontario murder suicide or something to that degree, the story will come up. Pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, Steve Miro. Steve, I think you're one of the guys that did a trailer reaction as well. Thank you so much, Steve. Really appreciate that, buddy. Says, wow, Dave, that just makes it that much creepier. Yeah, exactly. And but funny enough, the house has a very warm, welcoming environment to it. So, I mean, it's old and it's creepy and it's eerie, but certainly we were okay. We were okay. Nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing that we didn't hear anything. No bumps in the night, no crazy sounds or voices or not that I can remember anyway. Now I'm trying to think, was there anything? I don't think so. I'd have to ask the ladies, but I imagine that if anything major would have happened, they would have come to me or Bruce or anybody, you know, certainly and told us the first chance they could. And I think that would have been pretty memorable. I don't recall them doing that. So Calvin, it's Calvin IX Music. Calvin X Music, maybe? $5 Canadian super chat. Must be in Canada here. Thank you so much, buddy. He says, hey, Dave, I'm a rapper from Vancouver, BC. Very cool. Just wanted to thank you. I actually reached out to Shelby and got her to feature on my album. She's great. Amazing. That's really cool. I think Shelby had mentioned something about that, actually. This was a little while ago, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think this is a little while ago. But very cool indeed. Yeah, Shelby is great. Shelby's a singer, by the way, for those of you that don't know. And I even think Victoria can sing too. She can sing as well. Yeah, these ladies are multi-talented. They are tremendous to work with and multi-talented, which is really, really cool. So Joanna from Canada says, wow, this murder happened in 2016. Yes, that's right. Yeah, the end, I believe it was the towards the end of 2016, if I'm not mistaken. It was something like that. Something like that. Let me see. Oliver Mercer says, well, you have the older actor who played Billy on the show. That murder-suicide was shocking. Probably, well, not before the movie's released, no. Maybe after the movie's released, maybe, but certainly not before the movie's released, no. And I don't think he would come on even if I wanted him to. He really likes the anonymity of this. He likes it. He revels in it. Aaron Click says, Dave, did you find yourself feeling like Jack Torrance during the interview at the Overlook Hotel, learning about the murders? No, I didn't. I didn't think of that, actually. I just thought it was cool. But yeah, there was an actual, now that didn't make its way into the narrative at all. We didn't, you know, put that into the story because it wouldn't make sense. You know, we'd have to rewrite a few things and it doesn't really make sense. But in terms of filming, that's definitely something that will be on the director's commentary. We will do a director's commentary for the movie that will be on the Blu-ray as well. And that will definitely be a story that we tell. Really cool indeed. But no, didn't feel anything. I sincerely mean that. I didn't feel a thing. And I don't think the girls did either. I asked them, do you guys feel like weird? Or like, no. And of course, staying at the house was just me, the girls, Bruce, Greg, the gentleman who played Billy stayed at the house as well. But the rest of the crew stayed at a hotel in Carlton Place. So, Robert Thidoff says, Dave, I have a link to the murder-suicide. Can I post here? Sure, Robert. Yeah. Put the link in the chat room there. If anybody wants to read about the murder-suicide that happened at the location for where we shot It's Me, Billy, over 4 years ago now, you can check that out in the link that Robert will put here in the description. Chris Snyder says, will the girls do a commentary as well? That would be cool. Have a director's commentary and actress's commentary. Yes, I would like to get as many people doing the commentary as much as we can. Although, I mean, we can't have everybody. I mean, we all know the more people you have, at least for me, the more people you have, the less enjoyable it actually is. I think directors, you can have a director's commentary and you can have a cast commentary. I sometimes think that works better than having the cast with the direct, because then it just gets you get like 10 people talking over each other, and and then they're just kind of, it becomes very self-indulgent at that time, and not really, especially with a short film. With a feature film that's like 90 minutes or 2 hours long, you have a lot of time and it might work a bit better. But for a movie that's going to be only 25 or 30 minutes long, you might want to, you may want to have a director's commentary and a cast commentary, which we may do. We may do. If we feel we can do a director's commentary with the cast, we'll do that too, because that would be fun as well. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, there's the link there. I don't know if it's clickable though. I can't click on it, but you can copy and paste it, certainly, and that will bring up the murder-suicide. Yeah, it's pretty crazy indeed. Pretty crazy. Let me see. Let me go back here. Yeah, Evil Alex says, yeah, did you see or hear stuff or someone from the crew in that house? I believe in a ghost. I believe in ghosts too. But no. Interesting for a ghost hunt at night. Maybe you'd have to convince the owners though, because it's not abandoned. Don't forget that. But I even asked the owners of the house, do you ever feel anything weird or strange? And they said no. No. I mean, I could ask again, but they said no. Vanderhoff, 66FU. Dave, my man, says, how long will the BTS feature on the Blu-ray be? Not sure yet. I have to talk with Bruce. I would like it to be, I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll be half an hour. Maybe it'll be 45 minutes. There's certainly enough material that we can do that with. I'll have to talk to Bruce. He's coming over in the next few days to continue to work on the assembly edit for It's Me, Billy. He at the moment has begun putting together a BTS featurette. So I want to talk to him about that and see what he's going to throw on there and how he's going to work on that. So but I'd imagine, I mean, it's not going to be like 2 hours or anything. There's not enough material for that. And you have to pick and choose things that are interesting, right? So it might be half an hour. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. And there's other things we'll throw on the Blu-ray as well. I don't think I missed any super chats. Just going back here to see. We have one that comes in. Billy Tolley, or could be Toll. It could be Tolley as well. Thanks, buddy. He says, hey, Dave, will there be another chance of getting a Blu-ray? Congrats again, buddy. The trailer looks awesome. Looking forward to seeing the film. Thank you so much. Yeah, Billy, I've been saying before that it's entirely possible that when we drop the official trailer sometime next year, obviously before the spring, we may launch an Indiegogo campaign, a very short Indiegogo campaign along with it, very similar to what Vincent DeSanti did with when he dropped the trailer for Never Hike in the Snow. He simultaneously dropped another very short 2-week Indiegogo teaser to drum up some interest, and of course for people who want to get the Blu-ray and any last remaining things that they may want to get, like t-shirts or whatever. So we may do something similar. for that. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I think there will be another chance. Oh, excuse me, it's not you guys, I'm just exhausted. I think there will be another chance for that to happen. Gary Boy says, will there be any bloopers on It's Me, Billy? As I said before, Gary, not really. There weren't too many bloopers when we were shooting the movie. And it's largely because everybody was on point. You know, the girls were very prepared. And 9 times out of 10, if there was, you know, if we had to shoot a scene again or stop and start, it was for reasons like you saw here in the BTS that I showed you. There's a snowplow going by, so we had to stop. It was a technical issue, you know, with sound, or there was a technical issue with something, you know, that we were working on behind the scenes there. It was very rarely at all did the girls flub their lines. I don't think they ever did. I think there might have been once or twice where they got the giggles over something, but it wasn't. It's not even like it's nothing really. You know, they were prepared. They were on point every step of the way. So bloopers were, and I mean this sincerely, were very far and few between. There's certainly a lot of behind the scenes stuff we can show, but I don't think they would be in the realm of bloopers per se. There might be some behind the scenes stuff where we're not filming, they're not screwing up their lines, and they might just be laughing over something as we're setting up or something. There might be a few things like that, but yeah, nothing in the realm of like big flub ups. They were prepared, man, and we asked them to be prepared. I mean, an actor should always be prepared, but we asked them to be really prepared because time was of the essence. And you know, it's the kind of thing where, yes, we could do reshoots, but this isn't being shot on your DSLR down the street. If we wanted to do reshoots, that's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to cost quite a few $1,000s to do reshoots, and it wasn't in the budget. You know, it's a 4.5 hour drive away from the location. We're shooting on the Airy, so we can't go out and do pickups on a DSLR. The footage, the quality of the footage is not going to match. We'd have to rent out the cameras again. We'd have to get Greg again. We'd have to get, you know, we'd have to rent out gear again. We'd have to travel all the way up to the location again. Reshoots at the location is not in the budget. Now, if we want to launch another Indiegogo campaign and you guys want to give us another $5,000 to $10,000, well, maybe, but it's not in the budget, right? And we knew this going in. So we knew that we needed to be as prepared as possible. Now, are there certain insert shots, maybe some B-roll insert shots that we might be able to replicate at White's in one of their studios? Maybe, because the camera gear is there. You know, we might be able to replicate something that's just like an insert shot or a cutaway, and we might be able to get that and create the illusion impression that it's in the same space. Do you know what I mean? We'll take some fancy setup, but that's possible. We may be able to do that if there's something we feel we desperately need that's some sort of insert shot. But in terms of like scenes, like, you know, girls at the table, you know, and like girls in the living room, and no, I mean, that's going to cost a lot of money to do that. So because we're so far away and, you know, I mean, it's professionally shot. You know, reshoots on a film at the Hollywood level can cost millions of dollars, you know, and you could say, well, should you have budgeted for reshoots? We could have, but then we would have probably been asking for closer to $80,000 and $60,000, and we just made 60. So we may not have been able to get the 80 anyway. So it really comes down to how prepared they were. And we wanted them to be prepared. We wanted everybody to be prepared because we knew that the opportunity for reshoots was likely not within our budget. You know, so we wanted to get everything we could right there, right then and there. And I think we did. We did. Let me see. Did I see a super chat? I don't think I did. I always want to make sure I'm not missing anything. No, Billy was the last one. All right. Evil Alex says, this is a good one. If Blumhouse would come to you and say, let's make it a feature film, would you use what you already shot and just expand on it or reshoot it? It looks already big budget, just needs more scenes, I think. Well, yes, certainly what we have created is shot on all professional stuff. So it would hold up on the big screen. I don't know what somebody like Blumhouse would say. I have no idea. If Blumhouse ever sees this and wants to discuss, some people have said, but they just remade it. Hey, listen, first of all, nobody likes the 2019 film. No real Black Christmas fan likes 2019 film. And it's not unprecedented for a studio to make a movie and then remake it 2 years later. I'd listen. I don't think they will because they don't know us. But, we are creating something that is of high caliber, that, is absolutely in the realm of possibility of, hey, wow, what is this? Who are these guys? Let's talk to them. I think what would prevent Blumhouse from talking to us, at the very least, is, and I hate to say it, and I do feel this way, because I think there is enough circumstantial evidence. And we can talk about this maturely, okay? I don't want the chat room to start going into a whole thing about this. We can talk about this maturely here, okay? I do believe that and it's no secret, even the filmmakers, even Sofia Takal and the producers admitted that the feminist agenda that you saw in the 2019 film was deliberate. And there's nothing wrong with doing that kind of a movie in and of itself. The problem laid in that you were doing it on the piggyback of Black Christmas, and it wasn't Black Christmas. It had nothing to do with the mythology or the lore. It wasn't Black Christmas, and it was very preachy, very almost condescending in a way. A lot of people found the movie to be that way, and like I've said, even some women I know have said they don't like the movie because it feels like they're being told. A lot of women don't like to be spoken to that way, preached to that way. It felt a little too condescending even for some women. Now again, chat room, let's be mature here. Okay? I don't think the 2019 film is a terrible movie, but I do think it's a terrible Black Christmas movie. And I think if you had called it something else, Sleigh Girls, whatever, and allowed it to stand on its own, to breathe on its own without the Black Christmas attachment, might not be that bad. I don't think it's great, but it might just be one of those, that was kind of fun. Okay, whatever. You know what I mean? And allow people to draw parallels to Black Christmas like they did when they watched Sorority Row or something. Just let it fall where it's going to fall. I have always found it peculiar that Jason Blum, not too long after he got into some hot water over how there's not a lot of female directors in horror, which is true. I find, not that there can't be, I'm just saying that is true. There aren't a lot. He got into some hot water, had to apologize. I find it just the timing interesting, how not too long after that, Sofia Takal and her friend April Wolf are writing and directing a Black Christmas remake. It's just interesting. Now, maybe that was in the works before then, but if it was in the works before those comments, you think that Jason Blum would have said, well, hey, there's not too many, but we have a female director right now who is directing a remake. That was never said. It was never said. So did this get spearheaded and rushed because of that so he could look good? I don't know. I don't know Blum through a hole in the wall. He's a very talented guy. And obviously he's very good at making a lot of money on low budget films. But there's this whole thing that we have to speak to about this. I don't know if Blumhouse, even if they loved what we did, could come to us, because it would look like he's maybe acknowledging the shit show that is the 19 film. And in some way acknowledging that maybe we shouldn't have gone in that direction. Let's go in this direction. Do you know what I mean? And of course, for image, and when you're working at that level, it may not look good on him. It may look like he's acknowledging that, oh, we shouldn't have done this. We should have done this. Now, maybe he won't care. Maybe he'll say, yeah, we should have done this. I don't know. I have a feeling that that would be something that would, and when you're working at that level with hundreds of millions of dollars and you are one of the hottest producers in Hollywood, and yeah, that's something you think about is your image. And, you know, something that Our Black Christmas is not the 2019 film. You know, we have strong women in the movie, but it's not that kind of movie, you know? And so it's very like the first movie. So it's, you know, I'm talking about this like there's a chance of it. Who knows? But I have a feeling like it's a high production value fan film shot professionally. It's going to look like a professional movie. It already does. And there's reasons for that. We worked our asses off to make it look like that. Do I think it will get the attention from somebody over there? I think it probably will. I think somebody will look at it. But does it go over the next, you know, leap in terms of they're interested in wanting to know more and, hey, let's turn this into a series or let's turn this into a movie, like an actual feature or that. I don't know. It's good enough. Yes, 100%. But it's the politics behind it that I think could get in the way, because I think for Blum to go that far, he would have to admit that, well, we're going this far because we acknowledge that the 19 film failed. And I don't think he wants to look like that. I think he wants to look like he's inclusive, and which of course he is. But but you see, you know, and I know that it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with Sofia Takal being a shitty director or she's not. She's a good director. I've seen some of the other shit that she's done. It has nothing to do with it. It was just a movie that failed, and it failed because of this. Maybe we should do it like this. But of course there's no nuance anymore, and people will just see it as Blum saying that, you know, he shouldn't have done a feminist movie. He should have done this. I think there's, you know, maybe that's true to a degree. Because I know a lot of women who, like I said, who don't like the movie because it seems too preachy and condescending to women. You know, it doesn't mean that all women don't like it, but certainly I think it's a movie that felt fast-tracked. It didn't feel organic. It didn't feel organic to me. I just will always find, unless Blum can clarify his comments or clarify this, I always have found it interesting that he says what he says, gets into hot water, and then several months later, there's a Black Christmas film coming out, written and directed by two women. I find that just the timing interesting, you know? So yeah, for him to want to come to, hey, our ears are open. We are ready to hear anything. You got to see the movie first, of course. You may think the movie's garbage, but if somebody wants to talk, if Universal wants to talk, if Blumhouse wants to talk, we're open. What the hell am I going to say? No, of course. I'm going to say, yeah, let's talk. What are you thinking? What are your ideas? You know, because I would love to do it. I'd love to do it. I'd love to give. We are doing justice right now. We are trying to do justice right now to the original film. Yeah, and so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I think it's important to understand that I think, you know, there is always more at play when you get to that level. You know, there's always more at play. There is an image and PR are huge. And the last thing Jason Blum wants to do is make it seem like he's reverting back to a more traditional style and message. He doesn't want to do that. You know, he's going to get himself into some hot water probably for that. But who knows? Who knows? You never know. Jason, if you're watching, I'm open. We're open. We are all open to listening. Chris Snyder says, honestly, from a technical aspect, Black Christmas 2019 was shot very well. I'll give it that. Just the script and acting needed improvement. Yeah, the 19 film is like I said, I mean, it's clearly watered down. You can tell that they have watered it down to a PG-13 rating, that there were things in there were kills, there were certain things that happened that should have been amped up. But I don't think it's a terrible movie. I don't. I think it's a terrible Black Christmas movie. Yes, 100%. It's not a Black Christmas. It's terrible. It's terrible. And I don't like the idea of being overtly preachy and, you know, I don't like that. Not because I'm a white man, just because I think that when you do that, like somebody said, it's not a movie with a political message. It's a political message with a movie attached to it. And I think when you do that, you run the risk. Not every movie that's like this does this, but when you do it, you run the risk is always there, of alienating a certain portion of your fan base. And then whatever message you have in your movie, which could be a very good one. I mean, nobody's going to deny that sometimes these, messages are good messages, but they get lost in translation. And if they get lost in translation because you're coming across as a little preachy and condescending, then what's the point? What's the point, right? All that hard work that Sophia Takal and April Wolf and everybody worked on, and they fucking worked their asses off to make the best movie they possibly could, but it gets lost in translation. So what's the point? What's the point? Now you can only hope that years down the road it's revisited and somebody does a think piece on it and suddenly it's looked at a bit differently 10 years from now, which sometimes happens. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe we'll be in a different place in the world and people will be revisiting the 2019 film and all of a sudden it becomes this great cult classic. I don't know. But why run that risk? If you have a message, you can deliver that message in ways that is inclusive and includes everybody, and doesn't feel like a knee-jerk reaction to some hot water article you got yourself into, however many months earlier. I got to find that piece. And again, I'm not saying that is, maybe this was already in motion before, but it just feels strange, and I don't know. That's how I feel. But yeah, it's not a very good Black Christmas movie. I think if they had just called it Slay Girls, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. Let me see. Johnny Melancholy says, awesome teaser, Dave. Can't wait until spring. Thanks very much, Johnny. Really appreciate that. Klebella says, if it was called Slay Girls, then maybe Blumhouse will get in touch. Yeah. Well, yeah, if it was called Slay Girls, but the Slay's got to be SLAY, right? See, that was the subtitle on one of their posters. It said Slay Girls, SLAY, as in like slay. And I thought it was cute. I was like, oh, that's fun. I was like, that should be the title of the movie. Slay Girls, right? Like slaying, like cutting people up. I think that's fun. And if they had just called it Slay Girls, we all would have made the connection and parallels to Black Christmas, sorority house. Okay, fine. But so what? There's so much in this movie that's not Black Christmas that we would have just been like, oh, it's another Christmas horror movie. They have a sorority house. Maybe they're tipping their hat to Black Christmas. That's kind of cool. Cool. But then you let everything else stand on their own. But you call it Black Christmas. There's no Billy. There's no Agnes. There's no creepy phone calls. There was one attempt at one that wasn't really good. There's nothing, So I think you need to let it stand on your own. I wish they would have done that because I think April Wolf and Sophia Takal are talented. I do. And that's not me kissing ass. That's me being truthful. You guys know me. I'm not saying they're Scorsese. I'm just saying that I think they are talented, but I don't think this was, it just didn't, it got lost in translation. Big time. Big time. And thank you, chat room. By the way, thank you for being so mature about this. Because whenever you talk about this kind of topic, it can rub people the wrong way. It's, the chat room can easily fall into that, fuck this and feminism and virtue signaling and this and fuck and girl power. It can do that. There are people that do that. And I didn't see that here. Thank you, sincerely. You guys are great. We can have a mature conversation about this that is nuanced, that is, looking at things as objectively as we possibly can, acknowledging the strengths, while honing in on maybe what may have been wrong. It's all about how you communicate, how you discuss these types of things. We can discuss these things like adults and we can acknowledge things and be mature about it. And that's what we need to do. And so I just want to tip my hat to the chat room from what I can see here. I don't see any deleted messages. And I think my mods would have done that if there was anything crazy. So thank you again for being mature about this. it's good that we can do that. It's good that we can do that because there's nothing wrong with wanting to empower women. There's nothing wrong with wanting to in and of itself, I mean, right? But there's right ways and wrong ways, and there's just ways that we can go about it that is right. And I think if you do what the 19 film did and you're openly and you alienate a lot of people, and it becomes your whole message gets lost. That's how I feel about it. But and all good, says Darren. Amazing. So again, thank you, chat, for talking about this in a mature, respectful way. That's very important. So thank you again for doing that. You're right. Glad no trolls are here today so far. That's true too, because if there were a couple of trolls in the chat, this thing would probably be going crazy. I'll be curious to see what the comment section looks like afterwards, after this thing is online after the fact. Trevor Bristow could be that. I think could be a couple weeks. Who's excited for Godzilla versus Kong? I am excited for Godzilla versus Kong. I am Team Godzilla, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just letting you know I am Team Godzilla. I'm excited for it. Is it going straight to, oh God, I hope theaters open up. I really want to see that fucking movie on the big screen. I don't want to I want to see Godzilla in IMAX on a fucking 65-foot screen. That's where I want to fucking see that movie. And I know that they want to, I don't know. Frank, my great moderator, brings up that interview. Frank, you are amazing. When was this interview now? Let's see this. This interview was from October 2018. It was so it was from 2018. Fascinating. Okay, so, and then of course the announcement for the Black Christmas movie was, I think, in June or July of 2019. So this was a fair bit before the announcement of the 2019 Black Christmas movie. So there was more than enough time in there for him to spearhead that, fast track it. And so, yeah, no, I stand by what I say. And again, I have no concrete evidence of this. This is purely circumstantial, but it looks to me as if the Black Christmas movie, the remake, directed and written by two women, what was directed by Sophia Takal, it was directed by April Wolf and Sophia Takal, was the answer to this interview. It feels like that because if Black Christmas 19 was in development with Sophia Takal and April Wolf, you think he would have mentioned that. That's what you lead with, with an article like that. And he didn't. At least I don't think he did. Anyway, fascinating stuff. But I have no evidence of it. Purely circumstantial. Jason Blum, if you're watching, I don't know you personally. I'm sure you're a good guy. You're a hell of a producer. You're a hell of a businessman. Whether we like all your movies or not, you're killing it. I mean, that's right. Yeah, that's what you're doing. So yeah, I just wish that you would have done. I just wish you would have done better by Black Christmas. That's what I wish. I wish you would have done better by Black Christmas because I'm a big fan. I'm speaking as a fan and as a Canadian. So I wish you would have done better. But maybe you'll watch our movie. Maybe you'll like it. We'll see. Mason Locklear says, what director do you think could make an acceptable Black Christmas movie? You're looking at him. Myself and Bruce. Beyond Us is who I think you mean. I don't know. I don't really know. I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm not one to throw out just names like Adam Wingard. How about just names that you just know in the horror. James Wan, and maybe Adam Wingard and James Wan would make a good Black Christmas movie. I don't know, but I find that when you ask somebody who do you think is a good director to direct this horror movie, they tend to default to just the names they know in horror right now, and they tend to sort of just say that name. And I don't necessarily think that is true. I think James Wan is a talented director and he's definitely done some really cool supernatural horror movies, but is he right for a Black Christmas movie? I don't know. Adam Wingard, I don't know. He's not solely horror, but I just mean that, you know, there's I'm not really sure. I do know that myself and Bruce would love a crack at it. I mean, we already did it, but I mean, like, you know, a crack at extending it or making it official or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I'd be down for it for sure. 100%. 100%. Hans Gruber says Steve Miner. Yeah, maybe Steve Miner. I don't know. Okay, we'll go for another couple of minutes and then we'll call it a day. I am starving. I got to go get some lunch. Patrick says, Dave, will we get any form of info about what happened to Jess in It's Me, Billy? Well, I can't tell you that. You're gonna have to watch the movie. Jack Carter says, Dave, did you do the voice of Billy in the campaign teaser? Not the new teaser, but the very first one for the campaign. Yes, I did. I did the voice for Billy in the campaign, the Indiegogo campaign teaser, and the new teaser trailer as well. Evil Alex says, Dave and Bruce are the directors that will do Black Christmas justice. Yes, Evil. Yes, you are correct, my man. You are correct. Whether they want to give us the shot, that's a whole other different story. Gary Rangel says, if they use the same name, but they use the title and make it as a direct sequel to Black Christmas 1974, would you have been okay with it and Olivia Hussey would have returned? Which one are you talking about? The 2019 film? Because there's a lot of what ifs there, right? Like if they had used the same title, but made it a direct sequel to Black Christmas and Olivia Hussey returned, would you have been okay? The 19 film? No, and everything else remains the same? No, I wouldn't have been. I would have been like, what is this steaming pile of hot mess? No, because, you know, it's always cool. It would have been cool to see Olivia Hussey. It would have been cool to see that. But I mean, if it's still the same story, then again, lost in translation, right? It's like, well, I don't really care, you know? That's how I feel anyway. Let me see here. Montman14 says, are you guys planning on finishing the Freddy film? I was so excited to see you play Fred. Oh yeah, it's still happening, folks. Dylan's New Nightmare is still happening, but like a lot of movies that are shot professionally, it has been delayed because of COVID-19. And obviously that's a movie that's being shot in the States, in Arizona, and COVID-19 is running rampant in Arizona. Let's not turn this into a political chat here, folks. I'm just talking about the reasons why this has been delayed. Dylan's New Nightmare has been delayed because of the pandemic. The pandemic, although is up here as well in Canada, because we don't have the population that you do in the States, it's not as bad. It's relative, but we were able to shoot It's Me, Billy while following the protocols and procedures for COVID-19. With Dylan's New Nightmare, it had to take a back seat for a moment, but I know that he wants to ramp it up and hopefully we'll be able to shoot that movie next year. Hopefully we'll be able to shoot Dylan's New Nightmare next year. I don't know when. I don't know if it'll be the spring or the summer or the fall. I'm not too sure. Cecil Laird of The Horror Show, the YouTube channel The Horror Show, he's the guy you want to reach out to and ask about that. But yes, it's still happening. Miko Hughes and I are just waiting for, and of course the border has to open as well, right? I mean, I'm in Canada and the border has been closed to non-essential travel. There's a travel advisory saying that if you don't go to the United States right now, because of this, that, and the other. So, we have to follow that. So hopefully things can get better and things can lift and I can travel to the States. And also too, I have to, the one thing that is something I have to look into as well is that whenever I travel to the US, I obviously get health insurance, right? Travel health insurance, because obviously if something were to happen to me down there, I'm not covered. I don't have your plans. I'm not covered. I'm Canadian. So I get travel insurance through my bank. And my bank, I think, gives me like $2.5 million worth of travel insurance. It doesn't give me $2.5 million. I'm covered up to like $2 million or whatever it is. I said that somebody one time when they're like, they gave you $2 million. No. I'm covered for that much. They don't give you $2 million. So that'd be amazing. But now maybe things have changed since, but in the spring, that didn't cover COVID-19. So if I got into a car accident or I broke my leg or I got sick with something else and I had to be in the hospital down there in the States, I'm covered for up to like, $2 or $3 million or whatever it was, which is great, but it didn't cover COVID. That's a whole different ballgame that I imagine at the time they were trying to work out. I don't know. So if I go down to the States and I have $2.5 million worth of health insurance, but I get COVID, I'm fucked. I'm fucked. You know what I mean? So again, that's something that we have to think about. So there's a whole logistical issue in terms of Dylan's New Nightmare that for the reasons why it's been delayed. And a big part of it, yes, is because their main actor is Freddie, is Canadian and he can't get down there. That's part of it. But another reason is that also the case count in Arizona, in the state of Arizona, was very high. And that's where we're shooting. And Cecil and Vincent DeSanti, of course, of Never Hike in the Snow and Never Hike Alone, who's a producer on Dylan's New Nightmare, thought it was best that we hold off on this for a bit to see if we can get this under control. And I agreed. Cecil agreed. He agreed. I agreed. I'm sure Miko agreed. Everybody agreed. But no, it's still happening. It is definitely still happening. Definitely still happening. All right, folks, listen, that's going to do it for me here on episode 130 of MCRAE Live. Thank you to my great moderators, of course, Frank Riker, Frank Riker, Tap of the Shore, Darren Sands, for doing what you guys are doing. Thank you for tuning in if you're watching after the fact. Thank you to the Super Chat questions. Thank you to the non-Super Chat questions. I might be back Thursday morning. Thursday, of course, is New Year's Eve. I'm not 100% sure whether I will be back Thursday or not. So I may not be back till the new year, till next Monday for Two Dudes. Not 100% sure. I'll know more as the next couple of days roll on. But you guys are amazing, of course. Thank you again for watching the teaser trailer for It's Me, Billy. Share it to your social media if you can, if you think of it. If there's any groups that you think may like it, don't become a solicitor. Don't overdo it. Don't do it unnecessarily in places and groups where it's not welcome. Don't fucking drop the teaser in your fucking some group that has nothing to do with it. I'm just saying that if there's people or groups that you think still have yet to see it, feel free to share it. That would be great because you guys probably know more about these groups and horror groups and shit more than I do. I'm not really attached to anything other than killer flicks. So feel free to do that. And you guys are amazing. And have a great rest of your Tuesday. It's Tuesday. I was looking at here, make sure I got the Patreon card up. It's Tuesday. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. You guys are amazing, and I will talk to you guys soon. In the meantime, in between time. Alrighty. Cheers.